In this Genshin Impact Guide, I'm gonna show you all the different methods to gain Primogems so that even completely free-to-play travelers can get thousands of these precious shinies in absolutely no time. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Starting out with the most obvious but also the most efficient way on how to get Primogems if we're talking about Primogems per minute, and that would be exploration. Now, you might think this is all old news and you've heard about it 1,000 times, but you gotta be aware of the fact that just by exploring the world alone, you can get thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of Primogems depending on your account, and believe me, you don't want to miss out on that. So, let's look into it. When we're talking about exploration, of course the most obvious source of Primogems would be the chests that you find all around Teyvat. We have the common wooden chests, which yield 0 to 2 Primogems if you open them up, the exquisite ones giving you 2 to 5, the precious chests with 5 to 10 Primogems, and the luxurious ones that give you 10 each. However, if the luxurious chest is located in a shrine, that one will give you actually 40. And finally, we also have the remarkable chests. Those look like the precious ones, just that they're also green, and they exist in Surumi Island as well as in Sumeru, but only the ones in Sumeru actually give you 5 Primogems each, the other ones don't give you any. And last but not least, we have the primal obelisks in the deserts of Sumeru, which also yield you 20 Primogems each. However, finding and opening chests is not the only Primogem aspect when it comes to exploration, and we also have waypoints and statues of the 7, which give you 5 Primogems each when you first unlock them as a waypoint, and that also counts for domains that you unlock for the first time. They will also give you Primogems just for visiting them. Quick tip on the side, if you want to streamline your exploration process, you can unlock a treasure compass for the specific region if you have enough reputation with them that will automatically guide you to nearby treasure chests, so you have it way easier when it comes to actually finding them. And remember how I just said you also get Primogems for unlocking domains for the first time? Let's actually talk about these domains. See, in the open world you will find countless domains. Those that give you character ascension materials, those that give you artifacts, and also those that you can do one time for a nice bunch of rewards. These domains, among other useful stuff, give you 40 Primogems each for the first completion. And just by the way, many of them also reward you shrine keys, which you need to unlock shrines that I also previously talked about that contain these luxurious shrine chests giving you 40 Primogems each. So all in all, going through these one-time world domains is a great idea when you're short on Primogems. And one more thing that we briefly talked about in the exploration chapter would be the statues of the 7. Those not only give you 5 Primogems when you first unlock them as a waypoint, but they will also give you Primogems as you level them up. See, the statues of the 7 for every region in Teyvat can be leveled up by collecting oculi of that region and sacrificing them to the statue of the 7. For these statues of the 7 in both the Mondstadt and the Lyra region, you will each receive a total of 90 Primogems for leveling them up to the max level of 10, and in addition to that you will also increase your maximum stamina for the character, which is amazing, and I highly recommend you do that as soon as possible because more stamina means just more smooth movement in general and you will love it. However, all the other statues that don't give you stamina, you know, Inazuma, Sumeru and Fontaine, those will therefore give you a lot more Primogems with 540 each for getting them up to their maximum level. So make sure to get those oculi and buff up these statues. And just like the statues, every region of Teyvat has a sort of special quote-unquote tree or sacred rock or whatever that you can also level up by sacrificing various things to them. For example, we have the frost-bearing tree in the Snow Mountain region, we have the secret sakura in Inazuma, we have the Loomstone adjuvant in the Chasm, and so on and so forth. Just like the statues of the 7, these don't only give you a lot of other useful stuff like XP nodes, Mora, and enhancement ores, but they also reward you Primogems, at least indirectly, as you level them up. But what do I mean with Primogems indirectly? See, in contrast to the statues which pay you Primogems directly, these specific sacred things don't give you Primogems, but instead they give you fates directly. And if we're being honest, what else would you spend your Primogems on anyway? So I would say we can technically consider this a method for gaining Primogems. But alright, let's stop talking about sacrificing sacred things to sacred places and get back down to earth with the next method on our list, and that would be your daily commissions. I know I might sound like a broken record because I mention this pretty much in every video, but please, when you're serious about Genshin Impact, log in as often as you can and do your daily commissions. Unlocked when you're adventure rank 12 and have the world quest every day a new adventure done, these 4 daily missions pay you out 10 Primogems each for completion, and then when you talk to Catherine in the Adventurers Guild, you get another 20 Primogems on top of that, getting you to a total of 60 Primogems per day if you're just doing these commissions. By the way, nowadays you don't even need to do these commissions themselves. You could also get these so-called encounter points, which you receive for doing various other things in the open world, for example playing in events and stuff, and then these encounter points can be turned in instead of the commissions. So keep that one in mind. Also, just one quick side note, I would be super happy if you could maybe spare a like for the video, because it helps a huge ton with the YouTube algorithm, especially for a small channel like mine, so I much appreciate the support. Cheers so much for that. But now, let's go on to the next topic, which would be one that is unfortunately not accessible to free-to-play players. I'm talking about the Blessing of the Welkin Moon. Now, please don't get me wrong here. Much of this list, in fact over 90% of this list, is absolutely doable as a free-to-play player. However, that doesn't mean that I want to leave out the methods that also would be available for those of you who are willing to spend a couple of bucks. And no matter if you're a complete whale, a dolphin, or just a mild spender, what you should consider first and foremost when it comes to spending money on Genshin Impact would be the Blessing of the Welkin Moon. Here's how it works. This thing is basically a 1-month daily login reward in terms of Primogems. You pay $4.99, at least here in Germany, and for that you instantly get 300 Genesis Crystals, which basically means 300 Primogems, and after that, for 30 days, every day you log in, you get 90 Primogems on top of that. All in all, over the span of 1 month, you can get 3,000 Primogems with the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, given that you log in every day. And this is really important to know, because if you miss a login one day, those 90 Primogems for that day are completely lost. You will not get them back next time. So if you buy the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, make sure that you have the ability to log in once daily to claim them. Maybe if you have the storage capacity, consider putting Genshin Impact on your phone just to boot it up once, get your Primogems, and then shut it off again. And now that we're already talking about daily logins, let's get back to a feature that is also available for free-to-play players, and that would be the daily check-in, not in Genshin Impact itself, but therefore in the online service HoYoLab. See, in order to boost traffic on their social media HoYoLab, the Genshin developers came up with a great trick. They will give you in-game items including Primogems if you just sign in for 1 second each and every day. You can simply do that by navigating through the menu, find the daily login feature notification here on the side, click the link, bam, you're in, and then you can close the browser again. If you do that every day in a single month, then not only will you get 50,000 to 60,000 Mora, food, character XP material and other stuff, but you will also receive a total of 60 Primogems every single month just for doing 2 additional clicks. So I say, if you're serious about Genshin Impact, then do this every day right after login. However, if you haven't played Genshin for a while, maybe you've been on vacation or whatever, there is another great thing that you should absolutely keep in mind, and that is the Stellar Reunion. I personally never actually knew about this until researching for this video because I've been playing so actively, but if you're at least adventure rank 10 and you haven't logged in for 14 consecutive days, then when you come back you have the opportunity to get the so-called Stellar Reunion bonus. What this means is, for the next 7 following days, you get a special daily login reward totaling at 500 Primogems, 5 Fragile Resins, and a Northlander Belay Trove, all together if you log in for those 7 days. This is a mechanism of the game to sort of get you back on track and make up for a lot of stuff that you have lost for not playing for so long, but what you need to keep in mind is, once you have had the Stellar Reunion, you cannot get it again for the next 45 days. All in all, I gotta say it's not worth it to purposely not log in for 14 days just to get the Stellar Reunion, right? Daily login and doing your commissions will always yield you more rewards, but if you physically cannot play for a prolonged period of time, you might want to make it 14 days in total that you not log in so that you can benefit from the Stellar Reunion. But now let's get back from the more complex game systems to one that is really darn simple, and that would be simply play quests. See, every quest that you do in the game will reward you. Depending on which type of quest it is, you will get more or less Primogems. For example, Archon quests will of course always yield the most amount, then we have the story quest, the world quest, and you can even get some Primos from the hangout events. So if you're short on Primogems and you still have a lot of quests left to do, then I would consider maybe looking into that, because not only will you get Primos, but also tons of experience nodes, Mora, and enhancement ores. Quests are always great. And when we're talking about quests, there is one special thing, one special quote-unquote quest location that I want to mention, and that would be on Syra Island in Inazuma. There's this little cat shrine thingy where you can follow a certain quest line over a couple of days, and after that, this cat in the shrine will give you daily housekeeping tasks, I might say, that if you complete them, you will get Primogems as a reward. However, I do need to mention here, this will eventually stop. The cat housekeeping tasks are only temporarily, and after doing them a certain amount of times, you will not get any more. Now, quests were a great option to get a lot of Primogems, but also pretty obvious. The next one though is also a great method, however I'm sure not all of you are aware of this, and that would be the Stardust/Star Glitter exchange. See, in the Stardust and Star Glitter shop, you cannot get Primogems directly, but just like with the Sacred Places leveling up mechanic, with the Star Glitter that you get from pulling 4 or 5-star items, you can buy fates in the shop directly. And while you can certainly do that, I would recommend only doing this once you have all the 4-star characters that are also being available from the Star Glitter shop. If there are still some of these 4-stars out there that you either want to have in the first place or that you still need constellations for, then rather save your Star Glitter up for them than turning it into fates. However, when it comes to the Stardust exchange, the currency that you get for pretty much everything on the banner, things look drastically different. Every month in real life, you can buy 5 Acquaint and 5 Intertwined Fates. If you haven't done so already, then absolutely go and do that. Another great way for gaining indirect Primogems, quote-unquote, that gives you fates directly would be Character Ascension, and I think many players forget about this. By turning any character from level 0 up to level 80, you can get a total of 3 Acquaint Fates per character. And the good thing about this is that the first Acquaint Fate will already be given to you after the character reaches level 20, which is nice because getting them to level 20 is very cheap later on in the game, and you don't have to invest all the resources to get them to 80 right away. So yeah, if you have some characters lying around that you don't want to use like ever, then you can at least get them to level 20 and get an Acquaint Fate in return. The next point on our list might be a bit obvious, but also super duper important, and that is play limited time events. In Genshin Impact, more like in most other games out there, you constantly have new events, new content, and new stuff to play through. And engaging with all of these new quests and this new content will not only give you standard character and weapon ascension materials, but also tons and tons of Primogems. I'm talking about the big in-game events like the currently running Alchemy event, which is very nice, I had a lot of fun with it, but also, especially before the release of a big new version, we get limited time web events that take place in the browser and can be accessed also through the notifications in-game, and those also will always give you Primogems, usually just requiring a couple of clicks per day, really not a big time investment, so you should always have your eyes out for those events. And just by the way, even though this might not technically count as an event, but for every new character banner that comes out every 3 weeks, you can do trial runs for both the 5-star and the 4-star characters that are being featured on the banner, and when you do the trial runs for the 5 stars, you get 20 Primogems each for just finishing that run. Up next, and this is something that basically happens automatically, but I still want to mention it, and that would be upping your adventure rank. See, for doing quests, exploration, and various other things, you get adventure rank XP that will increase your account's adventure rank overall. Every time you reach a new adventure rank, your first way should be to Catherine in the Adventurers Guild, because for every rank up you get really nice rewards from her, also including a lot of Primogems. All in all, the Ascension quests that ascend your world to the next higher level will give the most Primogems. However, I would recommend to be careful with that and not rush your adventure rank too quickly, because that might end you up in a position where the enemies are starting to become too powerful for you, and then you'll have to do a lot of farming just to catch back up with the game. Especially for newer players, only ascend your world high enough to be able to continue the Archon quest, and don't go any further just yet. And now that we're already talking about playing through your adventure, let's also have a look at the Adventure Handbook right here. This handbook offers 9 chapters with various milestones to achieve along your journey. Most of them are pretty easy, and all of them will yield you nice reward materials. However, once you finish an entire chapter, you will also receive Primogems for finishing this chapter, and then you can go on to the next. All in all, going through all 9 chapters will reward you with a nice bunch of Primogems. The next method on our list might sound scary initially, but believe me, it really isn't. Of course, what I'm talking about is the Spiral Abyss. Now, when you hear Spiral Abyss, especially as a new player, you might get scared because it's that endgame thing, right? But trust me, there's also a lot to be gained here even for newer players. See, the Spiral Abyss consists out of 12 floors. Floor 1 to 8 is pretty easy, starting at very low levels and gradually increasing, whereas floor 9 to 12 is what I would actually consider the endgame stuff that is only reserved for higher level players. Each and every single one of these floors will reward you with Primogems when you complete it. Floors 1 to 8 will give you a massive 300 Primogems each once you complete them, and floors 9 to 12 will give you 150 each. Now, the thing you need to take into consideration here is that floors 1 to 8, while they give a lot of Primogems, these are only one time. Once you receive them, you cannot get them again, whereas floor 9 to 12, which is the higher level portion, will refresh every 2 weeks. And here's a nice little tip, especially for newer players. When you're doing the Battle Pass mission, each and every Battle Pass includes the mission to get 12 stars in total in the Spiral Abyss. That would be 1 complete floor in the Abyss plus the first stage of the next floor. If you're a higher level player, that should be no problem because floors 9 to 12 refresh every 2 weeks. However, as a newer player where you don't have access to these higher levels just yet, you might want to make sure to not rush into the Spiral Abyss all at once, because remember, you still need to get those 12 stars for every single Battle Pass. So my personal recommendation would be do 1 floor plus 1 chamber, then wait till the next Battle Pass arrives and then do another 12 stars, and this way advance through the Battle Passes until your account is strong enough to be able to tackle the higher levels of the Abyss. And now that I already mentioned the Battle Pass, let's actually talk about the Battle Pass. The Battle Pass has 2 modes, the free-to-play mode, where you get rewards but don't have to pay anything for that, and then the pay-to-play mode called Gnostic Hymn, which sets you back $10 and gives you even more rewards. With the standard free version only, you don't get Primogems directly, however, you get a couple of Acquaint Fates that of course always come in handy. However, if you're a mild spender and you're willing to invest those $10 for the Gnostic Hymn, then you'll be rewarded with 680 Primogems upon completion at level 50, plus even more intertwined fates in addition to that. After the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, the Gnostic Hymn would probably be the next best thing to invest into if you're willing to spend a bit of money on Genshin Impact. And just in general, no matter if you're free or pay to play, completing the Battle Pass to level 50 is actually not too difficult, and each player who's serious about Genshin Impact should aim to complete it. Alright, now next up we have a game mode that I'm sure a lot of players overlook or really don't like, but I personally actually find a lot of enjoyment in it, and that would be Genius Invocation TCG. What this is basically Genshin Impact's version of Hearthstone, which is, well, a card game. To unlock Genius Invocation TCG, you need to be Adventure Rank 32 and have completed the Archon Quest Prologue Act 3 Song of the Dragon and Freedom. Once you got that, you can play Genius Invocation TCG and by playing increase your player level. Player level can be increased from 0 to 10, and each time you increase your level, you get 60 Primogems for that, so 600 in total. And no matter if you like to play cards or not, 600 Primogems are still 600 Primogems. Next up on the list would be something that we can find in the menus actually, and that would be achievements. See, Genshin Impact has just short of 1200 achievements and counting. If you complete all of them at this given point in time, that would give you more than 9,000 Primogems. And while I'm certainly aware that doing all these achievements takes a lot of time, if you just take a look at it, you will see that many of them are actually really simple. You just need to go out there and do them. So if you're short of Primogems, always take a look at your achievement list. And now that we're already in the menus, let's take a look at a different chapter in the menus, which would be your tutorial guide. See, every time you encounter a new mechanic, a new enemy, or just in general, a new something in the game, you will get a new log in your tutorial menu. For every new log that you get 1 Primogem for each that you have discovered. Doesn't sound like a lot, but at least it's a little side income. The next method on the list is especially great because you don't have to do anything for it and you get a lot of Primogems out of it. And that would be update compensation. Every time the Genshin servers are down because you get a new update or even a hotfix, every player will receive 300 Primogems as a sort of apology for the downtime. That is really great, and it happens at least every time we get a new version, but also sometimes in between when there's a bug or a hotfix, the servers will be down for an additional short time, and we will get another 300 Primogems as a compensation. So yeah, especially when a new update comes out, take a look at your inbox and get your Primogems. And now that we're already talking about being paid for basically doing nothing, the next method goes in the same direction, and that would be promotion codes. See, for Genshin Impact, there are tons and tons of codes out there which give you free stuff, including Primogems. In order to redeem a code, just go into your menu and your account settings, and then you have a button for redeeming codes. Then you can type them in there, press enter, and the rewards will be delivered to your in-game inbox. Now, most codes out there are just temporary, so you gotta make sure to type them in time, but I'm sure just by googling them you will find countless websites that list all currently available codes, so you can go through them and get all your rewards for that. Especially when the developers do a live stream themselves, giving a sneak peek at the new game version, they usually always give us 3 different codes that are available for a couple of hours after the stream, and those codes also include a rich reward of Primogems. And just by the way, there is one specific gift code that is always available, and you can type it in once per account, and that will be Genshin Gift. If you haven't already, just go to your menu after the video and try it out. Alright. Up next, we have a bit of a more complex game mechanic, but believe me, you can get tons of riches out of there, not only, but including Primogems. And that would be your Serena Teapot. See, the Teapot is basically Genshin's version of a housing system. Unlocked at Adventure Rank 12, and after completing the Archon Quest Chapter 1 Act 3, a new star approaches, and then the consecutive world quest, A Teapot to Call Home, you will unlock your Teapot where you can build and decorate your own little house. Now, as you build new furnishings for the Teapot and place them in your world, you will increase your Teapot Trust rank, which rewards you with 60 Primogems for each Teapot Trust rank level up. That is already nice. But in addition to that, you can also invite characters that you have on your account into your Teapot as guests, and then each and every one of those characters has specific preferences to a certain type of furnishing that you can place in the Teapot. If you build all the furnishings that a character likes, they will give you an additional bunch of Primogems as a reward for that. In order to find out which character wants to have which specific furnishings, you can just Google that and find a list online. In my opinion, even if you don't really like housing systems, the Serena Teapot in Genshin Impact is a super important game mechanic, no matter if it's just for the Primogems or for all the other stuff that you can get for free out of it. If you haven't already, then make sure you spend some time with it. And last, but definitely not least, we have the Crystal Top-Up. This is basically the hard cash shop where you pay direct money to get Genesis Crystals to convert them into Primogems and then use it on your account. Now, I'm fully aware that this is no option for purely free-to-play players, and that's fine, we've had a lot of free-to-play methods to gain Primogems, but if you're a paying player, then this is the place where you can get a lot of Primogems in a short amount of time. One little thing that I want to mention here is, the first time you buy each and every individual of these packages, you will actually receive twice as much out of there, which is a huge boost. And this is what many people forget, this double reward boost will refresh once per year in real time. And now, before we wrap up the entire video, there are some really important tips that I want to give you in addition that will help you manage your Primogems wisely. See, here's the thing. You can farm and pay for Primogems as much as you want, get tons of these gems on your account, but if you don't manage them wisely, if you splurge them on stuff that is not worth it, then you won't see any benefit from it. So here are some things that you want to keep in mind all the time. First of all, have self-control. Know which characters and weapons you might want and only pull on them. Don't just go and pull just for the pulling. This is a really bad and potentially dangerous behavior, so at all times, make sure to be disciplined. Then, up next, don't wish on weapon banners until you have all the 5-star characters on your account that you really want. The thing with the weapon banner is that usually you will spend many times more Primogems on a weapon banner to get the 5-star weapon that you want in comparison to getting the 5-star character that you want, because the pity works a bit different on the weapon banner. And when it comes to pulling for characters, then of course, inform yourself before pulling about what the character can and can't do, which teams the character works well with, and only pull for the character if you also have all the teams and the other characters that you need. That of course also includes doing the trial run before wishing to make sure that you even like the gameplay style of the character in the first place. And if you're now looking for the best characters to spend all your newly acquired Primogems on, then don't miss my guide on the best and most OP characters in Genshin Impact right here. We see each other, hopefully in the next one, and until then, as always, travel smart.